right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from. Thank you all so much for joining today's webinar. My name is Carissa Bowen, and I am the Senior Project Manager here at Digital Promise. I work on the Learning Experience Design team. And today I'm happy to be moderating our last final educator panel discussion titled Helping Students Design Scalable and Sustainable Solutions. And just before we begin, I want to mention that today's webinar is recorded and will be shared with attendees and registrants. So please take a moment to look at your Zoom controls at the bottom of your screen today. As attendees, you have the ability to turn on closed captions or live transcripts, just in case you are needing those features. And also, because you all attendees will be muted today, you do have the option to chat and engage with others in the chat box today. So if you see the chat box, please make sure to select everyone so that you can chat and engage with other folks that are joining in today. And so to that end, welcome again. We would love to learn a little bit more about who is in the room today. If you have a few moments, please feel free to share your name, your location, or where you're joining from, and what brought you here today. And like I mentioned before, attendees are muted during today's discussion, but please, we would love to engage with you all in the chat box. And we welcome you to share any observations that you might have from today's conversation using some of the prompts that you see on the screen. So you could share anything from something that you learned, maybe today's discussion made you think of something, was there something that you found unique or inspiring, or maybe there was a comment or something that raised a question for you. We'd love to learn a little bit more about you, and we'd love to engage with you during today's conversation. So if you are new to Digital Promise or new to a Digital Promise webinar, here's a little bit of background on what we do. Digital Promise is a global nonprofit organization working to expand opportunities for every learner. And here at Digital Promise, we believe that every person can engage in powerful learning experiences that lead to a life of well-being, fulfillment, and economic mobility. The common thread throughout our projects is that we have a commitment to building a future of learning that is more equitable, innovative, and powerful. And so it's a great segue into one of our projects that you'll hear a lot about during today's conversation. It's called the Ciena Solutions Challenge. And the Ciena Solutions Challenge is a global design challenge that we have been hosting here at Digital Promise for the last 3 years. It invites middle and high school students and teachers to design solutions to real problems and take actionable steps to create a better world around them. And so learners that are either in traditional school, after school programs, they might attend a museum or might be members of a museum or some sort of small group. Those students can design solutions to local sustainable development goal challenges and submit those projects to have the opportunity to receive funding in the amount of $2,500. And that funding will help to sustain and scale those product designs. So educators and students are welcome to join in on this really exciting challenge. If you're wondering, what type of designs can students submit, you're in luck. Students can submit any type of design where they are creatively integrating technology. And so this could be creating a campaign, a podcast, an app, a game, interactive, or a digital space, a website, a video, a music video, something, really out the box. We are open to any type of innovative solution that really kind of gets to, addressing a local challenge that's happening in their community that they feel very passionate about solving and creating a design solution around that. And so in addition to the awards program, educators are invited to participate in a variety of professional learning monthly webinars like this. We have a variety of on-demand resources like a video learning series that you can find on our website. And we also have a variety of free resources for students and educators in our resource library. We also have different opportunities where educators and students can connect with one another from different parts of the world. And so the deadline to submit projects is on March the 12th, 2024. And so if you are curious to learn more or want to just kind of see if your educator or your students would be interested, we invite you to visit cienachallenge.org for more information. In the last 2 years of the Ciena Challenge, we have received such innovative student products and projects that tackle a variety of local community issues that are meaningful to them. And so from improving something like the preservation of cultural heritage through digital technologies to addressing housing and poverty issues through design, students are creating potential solutions by engaging, investigating, and taking action on their challenges and leveraging digital tools and technologies. And so today I'm excited to kind of pass it on to these dynamic educators that we have been lucky to be able to engage with, that I have been lucky enough to have been able to learn more about through their experience as educators in the Ciena Challenge. And so I am excited to introduce or have these great educators to introduce themselves to you all. And so we're actually going to start with Susmita from India. And so Susmita, would you like to introduce yourself at this time?
Good evening and greetings to all present here. And thanks to Ciena and Digital Promise for offering me such an opportunity to present my views in front of all. I am Susmita Rai Choudhury, your friend from India, a teacher of English in a senior secondary institution. I cordially welcome you all.
Thank you, Susmita. Mahamba, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you, everybody. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm excited actually to be among the panelists here, and I'm so thankful for Ciena Solutions Challenge by the Digital Promise actually to have such a honor to participate in this, unique event. So my name is Mahamba Sebastian Ihonde. I've been a teacher for almost 13 years, teaching in public secondary school in Mwanza, Tanzania. My students are coming to the community where most of the parents are, farmers and also the pet business. My school has a number of like 700 students, and I teach both English and history. But again, I work as a leader supporting the Africa ELTA as a vice president, supporting teachers who work from diverse community in Africa. Thank you so much. That is my introduction.
Thank you, Susmita and Mahamba, for sharing more about yourself. We do have another panelist by the name of Ivanette Landam that's joining from Brazil. She's having a little bit of issues with joining due to her internet connectivity. So we are going to welcome her as she is able to join during the call at some point. And so before we move on to the questions, both Susmita and Mahamba, I would really love to learn we have a little bit of an icebreaker question for the both of you that I hope doesn't catch you off guard, but I would love to just learn a little bit more about the best advice that you have had as an educator. Both of you have been educators for a long time in your respective disciplines, and it would be great to just learn a little bit more about maybe some of the best advice that has been given to you as you began in your teaching journey. So Mahamba or Susmita, whoever would like to take that on.
Thanks, Karisha. I am ready to answer this. And thanks for this beautiful question. Right. The best advice I have ever received as a teacher is during my Fulbright fellowship. My mentor teaches me that to be the change which I wish to see in others, I have to be that self. I have to be the change which I wish to see in others. So I remember this advice always. And this somehow facilitates me in my journey, professional journey, and in also personal journey. This is the advice.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you, Susmita. I'm sure many people can also attest and agree to that wonderful sentiment. Mahamba?
Well, thank you again. Like I alluded earlier on, that I've been working in a public school for 13 years of teaching experience, and that has been have the ups and down. And teaching is actually one of the complex, profession, but we need a lot of compassion. We need sort of love and discernment when you're working with a diverse community of learners, students who are coming from different backgrounds. You need to make sure that you continue supporting them. I'm also among the Fulbright alumni, 2019 in Montana, and one of my takeaway actually reaching the leaders and my mentors from Montana is giving back to the community. So when I came back, I thought of the challenges that my students have been facing and have been working to mitigate, like to work on the challenges by bringing solution, starting with the small groups of teachers and also with the community of students that are actually around my school. But again, I've been working much more harder to scale and reach many teachers by supporting them through the training. We have been going for workshops and also a lot of Zooms, and we give a lot of impact to the teachers, and that has been bringing the impact as we transform, subtly, like slowly, and then we're gonna reach the, like the huge community. That is what I would advise to teachers, and thank you for the question.
Great advice. Thank you so much, Mahamba. All right, so let's get into our discussion. So we're gonna move a little bit forward to Susmita. Susmita, your students have really shown us the power of what it means to truly immerse themselves in a challenge that affects so many different types of people, so many different communities, which is community hunger and malnutrition. And to get a better grasp of your students' social purpose, your students were able to integrate themselves in community experiences to get a better grasp and really understanding of what they could develop before getting to their solution. I'm curious to know, how did these experiences help your students understand the importance of scaling their products to reach a larger community? And why is it important for students to understand the value of scaling their innovations? And if you'd like to share more about your students' project, feel free.
Yes, of course, Karisha. Thank you for the question. The nature of the project envisioned by my students was such that its success resolutely depended on how impactful it was to the society at large. when dealing with issues like hunger and malnutrition, the scalability factor assumed primary importance because unless a solution proposed to tackle these challenges is applicable to an entire community, the effectivity of the solution automatically loses value. I believe that the experiences my students gained by integrating themselves as a part of the underprivileged community while conducting the village outreaches has been significant in helping them realize, and that scalability of projects aiming to deal with malnutrition and hunger demands more than simple laboratory research. Even extremely innovative solutions can be rendered practically ineffective if they cannot be scaled to serve the real-life communities and would miss the primary objectives. So, to ensure that a proposed solution really becomes a solution, its scalability must be kept in mind at all times. From my personal point of view, I feel that being able to witness the hardships of the people during their visits to these communities helped my students to empathize with the plight of those people, which not only helped them understand the gravity of the issue, but also motivated them to come up with a solution that can be transformed into a real life respite for those people. Thanks, Karisha. Yeah.
Thank you, Susmita. That's a great sentiment, and it's really important. I just want to echo your statement around having your students have that come to that realization that empathizing with such a large challenge that impacts their communities and sometimes their families. It can being in proximity to that kind of helps them to think larger and think bigger about the type of impact that they want to see. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Karisha.
So we're gonna move on to Mahamba, talking a little bit about curriculum priorities and student-centered designs. And so Mahamba, we know a little bit about your background and working in the public schools in Tanzania, which are focused on competence-based learning. And as a result of you being able to kind of combine or mesh both the school learning priorities and the Ciena Challenge, your students developed the IQ Interschool Challenge TV program. And in an effort to examine the competency-based curriculum and English as a second language in public schools, which is a large effort that you have been able to kind of cultivate and facilitate with your students. And that's amazing. I thought it was a brilliant idea to have your students tackle the issues of quality education through technology and hands-on activities like presentations and performances and global collaboration. So I would love for you to share a little bit more about your work. In particular, if you could share the methods and any resources that you use to sort of ground students in their challenges while also keeping the curriculum priorities in mind, like competency-based learning as a priority. If you had any challenges around that, we would love to hear how you were able to overcome that.
Well, thank you, Karisha. Well, for the inception, again, I want to give great thanks to Ciena Solutions Challenge and Digital Promise, actually, the award of 2022 and also the Scalability Award in 2023. With the award, actually, I worked hard to reach the the bigger community in Tanzania. Well, just a brief history. In 2020 is when I been working with radio programs in Tanzania, and it was because of the challenge of competence-based curriculum. And in Tanzania history, we had this the policy of education for self-reliance during the 1916, during the Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. But with the time, because of diverse changes and a lot of changes that have been going on, the curriculum has been changing. So in around 1970s, we had the content-based curriculum. This is always kind of like spoon feeding students, and community have been complaining like, are we creating the community that are ready to get in the world of employability, like in employment? So with this kind of complaining, I thought the solution is just to bring a sort of competence-based curriculum related to a TV program. And I named it IQ Inter-School Challenge. Basically, we do the question and answers where we give scenario cases and the student really trigger their critical thinking, creativity, also embark on technology and collaboration and all the core skills that are within the 21st century. And we also work on presentation, and here students have been bringing a lot of projects and topics that are within their curriculum. But again, we showcase talents. As we do this, we combine both STEAM and ESL. STEAM in the science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, and ESL is English as a second language, because of the challenges that we have been facing in schools in Tanzania. Because the background of education here is in primary schools, we learn Swahili, but when we shift to the secondary school, students learn English. That has been really challenging. So having the programs and having English as an elevator pitch has been really, really supportive. While bringing the TV program, we were able to reach out to 46 public schools in Mwanza, and we focus those public schools, which are really out in the outskirts of the city, because in the city, students have a lot of resources. But again, we are able to record 23 episodes. This is the episodes that are always aired on television, and also you can find them through the YouTube. We also, because of the big project, we are able to have the 8 live on-demand discussion. We bring teachers to discuss some of the issues and challenges that students actually face in the classroom situation. Well, the method that actually we integrate in our program is actually, we use we call it small group discussion. Here, we bring students to work more together, from a small group to a big group. They work collaboratively, they support each other, and that is always sort of student-centered learning. But again, we work on peer collaborative kind of group, where like 2 students could work with the other group and reach a big number. But again, it's because of the program, we also had the champion helping other students. We call them the champions. So when we go on site, we set up like 15 champion students. These are students that we go on recorded, the recording episodes. But when they go back to school, they share. We call them the champion. They had time to share on the master parade by working on the speeches, some debates, and that is how we call it the multiplier effect with the student. And we are also lucky to have the collaborative, global collaboration. So we have Tanzania thinking of we are locally rooted but globally informed. So we have been able to invite, students from United States last year, who came and, worked with the students here in Tanzania on how to, work on speech and debates and presentation using technology. That has been one of the 2 that actually we support students. So having technology, computers, and also using TV has been one of the key, just bringing confidence to your students. When you bring students on TV and then they think like you are going to present, they feel like, oh, wow, this is really, really wonderful. So those are the 2 that we embark to make sure that we support our students to really reach their competencies and creativity and on all that. So sort of challenges has been, we have been encountering some challenges, like time. Sometimes you do this program during the weekend, which is really hard. Some students need to have permission from home to join the program. Some of students are the church goer who go on Saturday. So you might just lose the student because he goes or she goes to the church. But we have been working collaboratively with the parents by, talking them, discussing them, having the consensus, like if students can work within and bring some, sort of changes to the school and the community. That's one. Also, the issue of time is really, really hard for us. For example, you do this when there's exams, there's a school event and calendar, school calendar, which is a lot of, schedules, but working with administrators, working with academicians, teachers, academic teachers, has been very supportive to gather the questions, so projects, and these are the solutions that actually helped us to really take off our program. That is on my side. Thank you for this question, Carissa.
That's wonderful. I'm sure a lot of educators can also feel they can see themselves in sort of that hard place to try to meet the priorities of your curriculum, meeting time and deadlines, and then just kind of dealing with all of the different parts of it. But being able to mesh it all together in the way that you have is very inspiring. So thank you for your insight. And so we're just going to have a little bit of an open discussion. And so the projects that are shared today really shed light to the value of students knowing and empathizing with their community, really seeing themselves, being in very close proximity to these local challenges, finding value in existing community resources, and developing ways to enhance their solutions by building space and opportunities for collaboration and hands-on activities. And so for both of you, I would love to learn a little bit more about what type of advice would you give to educators who are looking to support their students in designing long-lasting solutions while educating them on the importance of sustaining and scaling their designs. Something that we see a lot, I think even in your world of education and just in general, is that when students develop, they spend a really long time developing this great idea, and then they kind of leave it there. Sometimes students might think that it may not really go anywhere. Or it might just stay, this great idea might just stay in the classroom, and they can't always see what's ahead of them or what is outside of their four walls, so to speak. So I'm curious to know what type of advice would you give to teachers who are experiencing that sort of blockage of wanting their students to see what their designs can actually do, how much can they scale and sustain them. So I'll start there, and then we'll go to the second question. So Smita or Mahamba, what type of advice do you give to teachers who want to help their students look for long-lasting designs and scalable solutions?
Okay, may I, Karisha? Yeah. This will be a long answer, I think. Yeah. My advice to teachers will be to allow their students a working space that is conducive in fostering clarity of thoughts and innovation of ideas. Generally, students tend to depend on their guiding teachers or on easily available resources as the skeletal support in building a project or coming up with ideas. However, I believe that teachers should educate students on the pressing needs of today and give them the scope of empathizing and realizing the value of the effort that they are aspiring to put into the project work. Once students realize the possible magnitude of how their work can affect other people, they will naturally want to give their best. Besides this, collaborative brainstorming is one activity that immensely helps the students adopting a challenge-based learning route to significantly mature their thought processes. The path to guiding students on a project work can have a lot of difficulties. For students who are very used to a traditional learning environment, engaging in a challenge-based learning might not appear appealing, which is why very few students would dedicatedly work on the idea till its culmination. Often, receiving enough funds for the project also become an issue. At other times, keeping the students working motivated can be a challenge, especially when they face setbacks or roadblocks. However, all these issues can be dealt with provided there is a strong will to take action among both the students and the teacher. So, together we grow, together we learn, and together we can build a better world. Thanks.
Thank you, Susmita. That's wonderful advice.
Okay.
Well, now let me jump in, and like I echoed from Sumister, teaching is one of the toughest, profession, but we need empathy, sympathy, continue working and become more resilient to bring impact and changes. I would like to start with a small metaphor, which is called spark from a spark to a fire. Well, this metaphor actually try to depict on the picture that working with a community of learners in the ecosystem of education needs start from a small entity, small thing, then subtly or slowly will come to a big changes. And as a teacher, and the great teacher is the one who sees his or her student really doing the best. I would like to compare from the great philosophers, economists and researchers, examples of Socrates, actually, who created Aristotle, and from Aristotle we had Plato. So that means when learning, when teaching, you need to jump on the shoulder of others. And a teacher, a better teacher, is the one who can always create and not mar. So we need to do changes within the palms of our hand. And always we need just to think of the 4 words that we teach are not really enough to bring the 21st century learner. We have the extra, things that we need to impose, like need to help the learner, initiating the projects, working on designing, innovating. Those are the things that we think a 21st learner should have. And actually, we'll have to get rid of laments that have been going on with the community, with the parents, and everyone who's just really see the production that teachers are giving out. And the other thing actually is as a leader and teacher, you can also create a great leader, great engineer, great doctors, super teacher who can continue giving the impact to the community. Now, students want to see their own dreams by getting a support, elevation from the teachers. Let us really drill the intuition, something that a student has, and see that is something that you need to nurture to have a learner who is more independent, is more it's like it's very autonomous, and we can really see his or her own impact. So teachers, let's work hard, and thank you for devotion to working as a teacher. I think when we join together, working more collaborative as a team, we can change the world, and the changes begin with you. Thank you, Carissa, for bringing this on board.
Thank you both. That's really keen advice, and I am just excited to see what maybe some of what the educators in the chat box are kind of thinking about that wonderful advice, and even thinking about their own experiences, with trying to help your students kind of think outside the box, being empathetic to the challenges that are ahead of them, in some cases that they are impacted by, and just kind of seeing the process of how students can go from something, kind of a smaller idea or a big challenge, and being able to overcome that. Thank you both. So at this time, we're going to have a little bit of a panelist chat. So I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen so we can see each other. So at this time, this panelist chat is kind of made for both panelists to share questions about each other's projects. So for the both of you, we learned a little bit more about what your projects sort of entailed. So curious to know if either of you have a question for one another about your projects.
Okay, Carissa. I have to learn from Mahamba. May I ask you, Mahamba? Yeah?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Since the effectiveness of the recorded videos depends a lot on their accessibility, how can this be made available to students or institutions that do not have ability to afford proper infrastructure for the same?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for Sumista for that great question. Well, like as explained earlier on, we work on TV, multimedia, dimension, and that is one of the, the place where our resources, our materials can reach out to the student. But we don't end there, because we have other, digital platforms like the YouTube. So we do advises to students also to use the phones, like the smartphones, from their parents. They watch one of the the episode that we put them in the YouTube for them to continue watching. But again, we also put our resources in social media platform like Facebook, and with a live session that goes on television, student can find them there and continue learning, because they are sort of they're always there, and they can find them anytime they want to go and review or revisit and relearn things that we have. So we thought of the technology that is really becoming more rampant right now, and also and we receive a lot of feedback on the platforms. When students are calling, when they watch the video, they just give good feedback, and that actually has been more supportive, like motivating us to do more and scale it to many places. So we make sure that we embark on many platforms for them to go and revisit and relearn, and that's how I can answer your question. Thank you.
Thanks, Mahamba. This is really commendable. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, all right. I think in my turn now, let me just go to the question. First of all, I appreciate the project, your commitment. You have been working and supporting your students. And I went through your project and also I know you are working with a school, system, school situation. How do you work to manage your time, uh, to ensure that you reach your target, your vision ideas, and continue bringing the impact as you scale to many places? How do you can you share your experience to tackle the part of the time management? Thank you.
Yes, of course, of course. Time management is always a tougher thing, right? But if we go through a scheduled process, through a schedule which we have planned before, then adjusting time becomes possible. My students take advantages of their holidays, and I also give my time, support them with my supervision and guidance. So in school time, we make plans. We make net-based substitutes, charts, diagrams. All these things are done in school. And in holidays, we come to the real front. We connect with community people, mobilized them, show them our planning, get support from them. And the impact is that there becomes a strong bondage with school and community. This is very important. Before my project, there was lack of connection between the community and school. But now the community stands with us. So it is our strength. We have great manpower, but we lack livelihoods. If we can serve, if we can give them livelihood functions, then they are always with us. So our project serves two factors. One for children's nourishment, their nutrition, and the other is community livelihood. So time management doesn't become an issue for me. I am always at work, right? And this is the task of educators.
I see. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mahamba. Thanks.
That is, thank you both. That was a great dialogue. I saw that there was a question in the chat box, and this is a great segue to invite anyone who's in the chat or in our audience to share a question to the chat box. But it's this one question is kind of connected a little bit to your response, Susmita, about time management, and a little bit to your question, Mahamba. So this question comes from Mohan Sharma. What are the key factors to be kept in mind for sustaining and scaling a design? Further, how can that be a universal design? So it's like a two-part question, but the first part is, what are the key factors to keep in mind for sustaining and scaling a design? So I imagine that time might be one of them, but for the both of you, if you both can share your responses to that.
Yeah, may I, Kadisha? Thank you, Mohan sir. Thanks for your question. Yeah. I feel that today the world is faced with a myriad of challenges, each more distressing than the other. However, as humans who have the ingenious gift of imagination and creativity, we can definitely make a significant change for a better tomorrow. So, while designing a challenge, we should look about the positive sides, about the immense potentialities which the challenge, which the project can bring to the community. Engaging students in a challenge-based learning approach is definitely difficult because the project, when they are working, they gave their critical thinking abilities, collaboration, and organizing skills. And above all, the time factor, the time management is the most important both for students and for teachers. So the main question, which is that how can we make a better project, better challenge for solving our problem? And the main motivation for my students was derived from a strong case of empathy for the suffering ones and a passionate urge to do something for alleviating their distress. So while doing a project, we first of all mind our community. What the goods will serve through the project to the community. I always prefer upon this side. And now Mahamba can reflect more on it, right?
I see. Of course, you just preempted, but I echoed a few things that you have spoken about. So coming to the question of designing a project that is actually is more sustainable, it's an idea that actually, like you mentioned, on the time and other things, but I also need to add things related to making a research. So before you give a designing or any project, you need to have a sort of research. Could be the action research within the school situation, school around the compound or the community that are surrounding. So by doing the action research, there are things that are actually you're gonna walk through, designing it, thinking of the impact of it, and all that. But could be kind of ethnography or a research where it's more based on the wider community. So see the project or the designing that actually aligns with the challenges that are genuine to the community, the challenges that are real, and things that you want to bring solution to a given ecosystem of education or students who are they are facing the challenges. Those are the things that we can look at. But apart from the sort of the research, but working more with a team is one of the key part of the having better designing. Now here, see who are you working to, when are you studying it, and how can you work together to bring the target impact target solution. So I would just really want to talk on those part of researching it more in depth, and also working more with the team to see that the team are really they are driving on the better lane for you to reach your destination. You can also anticipate some of the outcomes. What are the things that you can anticipate in the future, and you try to solve them prior having the design. So having those tips actually are the things that we can really recommend or commend to teachers to work on that. The second question, I did not get it, but you can repeat it and we can attempt it.
Yeah, I think no, those are some great jewels, but the second part of the question is further how that can be a universal design. So I think what the question is kind of getting at is the key factors that you both mentioned for keeping in mind for sustaining and scaling a design. How can we think about that in a universal sense? So we have about a minute, like maybe a minute left to spend on this question. If you either of you want to respond to the second part of that. And if we think we've answered, I think the question, I'm happy to move on. Mohan, thank you so much for that question. I think it does a really good job at sort of rounding out our conversation. Oh, Susmita, sorry, go ahead. It looked like you
Yeah,
say something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Karisha. Yeah, I am a little bit late. The second part of the question was, how can we design an universal, right? Acha. Uh, so, Mohan sir, we are already designing universal. What you have told, design, universal design. So, the world is now a global village. So what are we doing? We are making our students global citizens. And the problem with which we are dealing now is global problem. Malnutrition and hunger is global problem. Climate change, everything. So whatever we are designing now are universal design. When we are designing these things, we are not only thinking about our community, our province, but all through the world, this can be implemented. Okay? I think Mohan sir is satisfied. Okay.
Yeah, in addition to that, actually, I like how Juan has just really rephrased the question for us to get it a little bit better. And thank you, Sumista, for attempting it. Just to add more on that is, as we design, actually, she mentioned, and I echoed, it's always universal kind of, because, for example, our project, touches the or all weather. I call it all weather students. You may face students who have challenges of dyslexia, challenges of speaking, dysgraphia, writing when you're designing a project, and you make sure that you involve them within the project. And because it is more sort of collaborative, so we call it the weaker student could support the stronger student. But I don't just call them weaker. The slow achievers with quick achievers can support each other as we work in designing. And you may not really anticipate some of the student challenges or inclusivity, but working more individual and trying to go more in depth. And as a teacher, seeing those they think that actually students needed to come together, then we work on the universal designing of the project. So my project has been also going through that, and we work together to seeing how do we help him. He might be having the challenges of speaking, but he knows how to design or bring some innovation. That is the area you need to sort of elevate or strengthen. Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you both. This has been a lovely conversation. I wish that we could have all the time to continue to talk about this really important topic, because it's such a large part of not just the challenge, but in the way that students design and the way that they think about how to scale and sustain their really wonderful ideas. So I just want to thank you both so much, Mahamba and Susmita, for having and being a part of such a timely conversation. We really appreciate both of your input, and we hope to continue to see some great work come from you and your students. So thank you.